The gunfire stopped. Lieutenant Kira Brennan pressed against the rocks, counting heads in the dark. 7 Rangers, 1 missing. Then she saw him, Sergeant Marcus Reeves, dragging himself across the scree with his left leg shattered. Blood painted the stones black under the moonlight. The Taliban fighters were regrouping 300 meters downslope. Her radio crackled. Thunder 1, this is Overwatch. Enemy reinforcements inbound. Estimate 12 minutes to your position. Recommend immediate exfil. 12 minutes. Marcus needed 20 just to reach the rally point. She'd trained at Fort Benning with men who could make this calculation in their sleep. The math was brutal and simple. Marcus locked eyes with her across 30 meters of exposed ground. He shook his head once. Go, Lieutenant, that's an order. But orders didn't erase the memory of Kandahar, 2 years ago, when Marcus had carried her through a minefield after her vehicle hit an IED. When he'd told her, Rangers don't quit on Rangers. The rookie beside her, Private Morrison, waited for her decision. Every second counted, every second killed. Kira's hand moved to her radio. She had to choose. The briefing room at Forward Operating Base Lightning smelled like burnt coffee and diesel fuel. Lieutenant Kira Brennan stood at attention while Colonel Hale clicked through satellite images on the projector screen. The target compound glowed green in the infrared overlay. This is Objective Falcon, Hale said. His voice carried the gravel of 25 years in special operations. Intelligence confirms Abdullah Nazari is hiding here. High-value target, former Taliban commander, now facilitating weapons shipments from Pakistan. Kira studied the terrain. Mountains, always mountains in Afghanistan. The compound sat in a valley accessible by only 2 routes, both exposed, both dangerous. What's the timeline, sir? She asked. 48 hours. Weather window closes after that. Snowstorm moving in from the north. Hale zoomed in on the approach routes. You'll insert by helicopter at LZ Phoenix. 2 clicks east of the target. Move in on foot under darkness. Sergeant Marcus Reeves leaned forward in his chair. At 32, he'd done more combat tours than most officers twice his age. Intel source reliable? CIA asset, solid track record. Hale switched slides. But we're not taking chances. You'll have 8 Rangers, best team on base. Overwatch will provide drone coverage. Kira felt the weight of it. Her first solo command mission. 3 months ago, she'd been Marcus's second-in-command. Now she wore the lieutenant bars. Now 8 lives depended on her decisions. Rules of engagement? She asked. Capture if possible. Nazari has information we need, but if he resists, you're cleared hot. Hale met her eyes. This one matters, Lieutenant. Pentagon's watching. Don't screw it up. After the briefing, Marcus found her in the armory. She was checking her M4 carbine, running through the manual of arms she'd practiced 10,000 times. You ready for this? He asked. I should be asking you that question. She locked the bolt back and inspected the chamber. You're the one following my orders now. Marcus laughed. You've been ready since Kandahar. You just didn't know it yet. Kandahar. The word hung between them like smoke. 2 years ago felt like yesterday. The IED that had flipped her vehicle. The chaos of twisted metal and screaming. Marcus dragging her through a minefield while insurgents fired from the ridgeline. She still had scars on her back from the shrapnel. I froze that day, Kira said quietly. You saved my life. You didn't freeze, you were concussed. Marcus checked his own weapon with the casual efficiency of a man who'd done it 1,000 times. And you saved yourself. I just helped you walk. That's not how I remember it. Memory's funny in combat. He chambered around and safetied his rifle. What matters is you learn from it. You're a good officer, Kira. Trust your training. Trust your team. She wanted to believe him. The doubt still lingered, though. That moment of paralysis when the world had gone sideways and she couldn't process the chaos fast enough. What if it happened again? What if her hesitation cost lives? Hey, Marcus's voice pulled her back. Where'd you go? Just thinking through the mission. Liar, he grinned. You're overthinking. That's your problem. You plan for every contingency, every possible failure. Sometimes you just gotta trust your gut and execute. My gut says this feels too easy, Kira said. CIA asset with perfect intel? Helicopter insertion right to the doorstep? When's the last time anything in this country went according to plan? Never, which is why we train for the chaos. Marcus slung his rifle. Get some rest, Lieutenant. Long day tomorrow. She watched him leave. Marcus had that confidence born from experience. He'd seen enough combat to know fear was natural. He'd also seen enough to know competence mattered more than fearlessness. Kira spent the next hour going over maps and contingency plans. Every evacuation route, every rally point, every failure scenario she could imagine. By the time she finished, midnight had come and gone. She tried to sleep, but her mind kept running. The mission, the responsibility, 8 Rangers trusting her to bring them home. Finally, at 0300, she gave up and went to the gym. Colonel Hale was there, hitting the heavy bag with methodical precision. Sweat soaked his PT shirt. He didn't acknowledge her, just kept working the bag with the rhythm of someone burning off demons. Kira started stretching. After a few minutes, Hale spoke without stopping his workout. Can't sleep? No, sir. Pre-mission jitters, normal. He threw a combination, jab, cross, hook. You know what keeps me up at night, Lieutenant? Sir? The choices I made 20 years ago. The Rangers I lost because I followed orders instead of my instincts. He stopped punching and looked at her. You ever been in a position where following orders meant sacrificing your team? The question felt loaded, specific, like he was preparing her for something. No, sir, Kira said. I haven't. You will be. Hale unwrapped his hands. Probably on this mission. War has a way of forcing impossible choices. When that moment comes, remember this. Regulations protect the institution. Instinct protects your people. Choose wisely. He left her alone with those words. Kira finished her workout feeling more unsettled than before. What did Hale know that he wasn't saying? Was there bad intel, hidden threats, or was he just testing her resolve? The Chinook helicopter cut through the night sky like a mechanical insect. Kira sat strapped in with her team, feeling the vibration through her spine. 8 Rangers plus her, each man hand-picked, each one she'd trained with for months. Marcus sat across from her, eyes closed, breathing steady. Specialist Hayes, their sniper, was checking his scope for the 100th time. Corporal Torres, the medic, had his aid bag between his boots. Private Morrison, the youngest at 22, looked pale but determined. The crew chief held up 5 fingers. 5 minutes to landing zone. Kira's radio crackled. Thunder 1, this is Overwatch. LZ is cold. No enemy activity detected. You're clear for insertion. Copy, Overwatch. She switched to team frequency. Listen up. We land, we move fast. Standard patrol formation. Morrison, you're on point with me. Hayes, rear security. Marcus, you've got middle with the breaching team. Questions? Silence. Good. They knew their jobs. The Chinook flared and touched down in a swirl of dust and rotor wash. Kira was first out, weapon up, scanning sectors. The team flowed out behind her like water, each Ranger taking position in the security perimeter. The helicopter lifted off 30 seconds later. Then they were alone in the Afghan mountains with 2 clicks of hostile terrain between them and the target. Move out, Kira whispered. They moved in tactical formation through the darkness. Night vision turned the world into shades of green. The terrain was rocky, uneven, perfect for twisted ankles and ambushes. Every shadow could hide an enemy. Every sound could be a threat. Morrison walked point like he'd been trained. Slow, deliberate, weapon sweeping sectors. Behind him, Kira divided her attention between the terrain ahead and the team behind. Leadership meant maintaining awareness of everything simultaneously. It was exhausting. After 40 minutes, they reached Checkpoint Alpha, a ridgeline overlooking their route. Marcus moved up beside her. "Halfway there," he whispered. "No contact. Maybe your gut was wrong." Maybe, but the unease wouldn't leave. Something felt off. The valley below was too quiet. No dogs barking, no signs of habitation in the scattered compounds, just silence and darkness. "Overwatch, Thunder 1, she radioed. "Request drone sweep of Objective Falcon. Something feels hinky." "Copy, Thunder 1. Stand by." They waited in the rocks while the drone repositioned. Kira used the pause to hydrate and check her team. Every ranger was alert, professional, ready. This was what they did. This was what they trained for. "Thunder 1, Overwatch. Drone shows 2 heat signatures in the compound. Consistent with target package. No additional threats detected." 2 people. Could be Nazari and a guard. Or a family. Or something else entirely. No way to know until they breached. "Roger, Overwatch. Continuing mission." They moved down the ridge toward the valley floor. The compound came into view. A typical Afghan structure. Mud walls, flat roof, courtyard, single entrance. The intelligence photos had been accurate. Kira hand-signaled the breach team into position. Marcus and 3 rangers stacked on the door. Hayes took an overwatch position 40 meters back. Torres stayed with the security element. "Set," Marcus whispered over the radio. "Overwatch, Thunder 1, we're going in." "Copy, Thunder 1, you're cleared hot." Kira gave the signal. Marcus's breaching charge blew the door with a sharp crack. The team flowed inside like a choreographed dance. Flashbangs, shouting, movement. Kira entered third, weapon up, clearing corners. The compound was empty. Not just unoccupied, empty. No furniture, no supplies, no people. Just bare rooms and dusty floors. "Thunder 1, building clear," Marcus reported. "No jackpot. Repeat, no jackpot." Kira stood in the courtyard, heart sinking. Bad intel. They'd risked a 2-click insertion for nothing. The CIA asset had been wrong, or... The thought died as gunfire erupted from the ridgeline above. Rounds snapped overhead like angry hornets. The mud wall beside Kira exploded in puffs of dust. She dove behind a water trough as her team returned fire. "Contact north," Hayes shouted over the radio. "Multiple shooters on the ridge." This wasn't random. This was coordinated, professional. Someone had known they were coming. "Thunder 1, Overwatch. We're tracking 8 enemy fighters on your position. You need to move now." Kira's mind raced through options. They were pinned in the compound. The only exit led directly into the enemy fire. They could try to fight their way out, but that meant crossing open ground under fire. Or they could hold here and wait for reinforcement, except they were 2 clicks from base with no quick reaction force available. "Marcus, sound off." "North wall, 3 rangers with me, we're good." "Hayes?" "South position. I've got Morrison and Torres. We're pinned but intact." Kira assessed the situation. The enemy had the high ground in superior positions. But they weren't advancing. They were keeping the Rangers pinned. Why? Then she understood. This wasn't an attack. This was a trap. And they'd walked right into it. "Overwatch, Thunder 1, this was a setup. The intel was compromised. We need immediate exfil." "Thunder 1, be advised, nearest extraction point is LZ Phoenix, your original insertion point, 2 clicks east." 2 clicks through enemy territory while taking fire. Might as well be 200. "Can you get us air support?" Kira asked. "Negative, Thunder 1. Weather's moving in faster than predicted. No birds available until the storm passes. You're on your own. Of course they were. When had anything in Afghanistan gone according to plan? All elements were moving to LZ Phoenix, bound by teams. Marcus, you take Team 1, I've got Team 2. We leapfrog back, suppressing fire on my mark. She didn't wait for acknowledgement. Mark! Her team opened up, pouring rounds toward the ridge while Marcus's team sprinted from the compound. They made it 20 meters before enemy fire intensified. Marcus's team hit the dirt behind a low stone wall. Team 2, move! Marcus shouted. Kira led her 3 rangers out of the compound in a low run. Bullets cracked past her head. Morrison stumbled, but kept moving. They reached Marcus's position and dove behind the wall. You good? Marcus asked. Yeah, this is organized. Too organized for Taliban. I noticed. These guys know what they're doing. They bounded back through the valley, trading fire and ground in brutal increments. It took 30 minutes to move 300 meters. Every rock could hide a sniper. Every shadow could conceal an enemy position. Then Morrison's foot caught a rock, and he went down hard. Kira heard the snap of bone even over the gunfire. Medic! She shouted. Torres scrambled over. Morrison was trying not to scream, his right ankle bent at an unnatural angle. Definitely broken. I can splint it, Torres said, but he can't run. Kira looked back toward the LZ, still over a click away. Then she looked at Morrison, just 22 years old, trying to be brave while his body betrayed him. Hayes, Morrison's injured. We need... The world exploded. The RPG hit the wall 3 feet from Marcus. The blast threw Kira backward, ears ringing, vision swimming. She tasted blood and dust. Her weapon was somewhere. She couldn't think straight. Someone grabbed her harness and dragged her. Marcus. His mouth was moving, but she couldn't hear words, just a high-pitched whine. He shoved her rifle into her hands and pointed toward the ridge. The enemy was advancing. Reality snapped back into focus. Her team was scattered. Torres was working on Morrison. Hayes was firing methodically from a flanking position. Marcus was bleeding from his forehead but still fighting. Rally on me, Kira screamed. Her voice sounded distant and strange. Tight perimeter, now! The Rangers formed a defensive circle in a depression between rocks. 8 against at least a dozen. The enemy had all the advantages. Time, position, numbers. Kira's radio crackled. Thunder 1, Overwatch. Enemy reinforcements approaching from the west. Estimate 10 to 12 minutes until they reach your position. You need to move. 10 minutes. Morrison couldn't walk. They'd have to carry him. That meant abandoning gear, moving slower, becoming more vulnerable. Unless they left him behind. The thought appeared unbidden and horrifying, but it was there now, cold and logical. 1 injured ranger versus 7 functional ones. The math was brutal. Marcus caught her eye. He'd done the same calculation. She saw it in his expression. He shook his head slightly, a message. We don't leave people. But what if leaving 1 meant saving 7? Thunder 1, you need to move now, Overwatch pressed. Reinforcements are static. The radio went dead. Overwatch, Thunder 1, say again. Nothing. They lost communications. Maybe the terrain. Maybe the weather. Maybe the enemy had jamming equipment. They were alone. Kira made a decision. Torres, how mobile can you make Morrison? With support, maybe walking speed. But he needs a hospital, Lieutenant. That ankle's bad. We carry him in shifts. Hayes, Marcus, you're first. Move out toward the rally point. We'll bound past you. They started moving again. Slower now. Much slower. Morrison gritted his teeth with each step, supported between Hayes and Marcus. The enemy fire had lessened. They were conserving ammunition or repositioning. Kira checked her watch. 8 minutes until reinforcements arrived. They'd covered maybe 200 meters. Not enough. Not nearly enough. Then Marcus's leg buckled. He went down without a sound, just a sudden collapse. Kira saw the blood immediately. His left thigh was soaked with it. When had he been hit? During the RPG blast? Earlier? He'd been moving on it for minutes, probably longer, saying nothing. Medic! Kira dropped beside him. Torres was already moving. He cut away Marcus's pant leg, revealing a nasty through and through. The bullet had missed the femoral artery, but torn muscle and tissue. Blood pooled on the rocks. How bad? Kira asked. Torres worked fast, packing the wound with gauze. Bad enough, he's losing blood fast. Needs a tourniquet. Needs evacuation. He looked up at her. He can't walk, Lieutenant. 2 injured Rangers now. Morrison with a broken ankle. Marcus with a leg wound that was getting worse by the second. The math had just become impossible. Marcus grabbed her arm. His grip was strong despite the blood loss. Listen to me. You need to move. Take the team and go. Shut up, we're getting you out. No. His voice was firm. Sergeant voice. The voice that had gotten her through Kandahar. You've got 7 Rangers. You can still make it to LZ Phoenix if you move now. But not carrying 2 injured men. You know the math, Lieutenant. She did know it. She'd trained for situations exactly like this at Fort Benning. The scenarios where mathematics became moral calculus. Where leadership meant making choices that would haunt you forever. I'm not leaving you, she said. You are if I order you to. Marcus winced as Torres tightened the tourniquet. I'm giving you a direct order, Lieutenant. Take the team and extract. That's what the mission requires. The mission failed the moment we stepped into that compound. The intel was bad. Someone set us up. And I'm not abandoning my Rangers because of someone else's mistakes. Marcus's expression softened. Kira, listen. 2 years ago, I carried you out of Kandahar because you were worth carrying. Because you had more to give. Now I'm telling you to go because 7 Rangers need a leader more than 1 sergeant needs a rescue. You want to honor what I did for you? Then save them. Hayes appeared at her elbow. Lieutenant, hostiles are moving. We've got maybe 6 minutes before they're on top of us. 6 minutes. She could make the hard choice. Leave Marcus here with enough ammunition to hold out while the team ran for the LZ. Maybe he'd survive until they could organize a rescue. Maybe. Or she could stay and fight and probably watch all 9 of them die together. The radio crackled back to life. Thunder 1, this is Overwatch. Do you copy? Kira grabbed the handset. Overwatch, Thunder 1. We have 2 injured Rangers. We're pinned down. Need immediate CASEVAC. Negative, Thunder 1. Weather's too bad for extraction. Nearest support is 40 minutes out. Recommend you move to LZ Phoenix immediately. We can't move with 2 injured. Then you need to make a decision, Lieutenant. The voice was cold, professional, distant. Whoever was on that radio wasn't seeing Marcus's blood, wasn't watching Morrison try not to cry, wasn't feeling the weight of 8 lives balanced on a knife's edge. Marcus looked at her. Really looked at her. You're a good officer, Kira. Trust yourself. Make the call. She thought about Colonel Hale's words. Regulations protect the institution. Instinct protects your people. Choose wisely. What did her instinct say? It said Marcus had carried her when she couldn't walk. It said Rangers don't abandon Rangers. It said some choices mattered more than survival. She stood up and faced her team. Hayes, give me your rope. Torres, finish stabilizing Marcus. Morrison, you're going to have to suck it up and move. We're all getting to that LZ together. Lieutenant, Marcus started. Sergeant, I'm giving you a direct order. Shut up and let my medic work. For a moment, something like pride flashed in Marcus's eyes. Then he nodded. Yes, ma'am. Kira switched to command frequency. Overwatch, Thunder 1. We're moving to LZ Phoenix with all personnel. Estimated time, 30 minutes. We'll need immediate CASEVAC upon arrival. Thunder 1, understood. Be advised, you have enemy reinforcements converging on your position. You're out of time. Then we better move fast. She organized the team with brutal efficiency. Hayes and two Rangers carried Marcus using a makeshift litter from ponchos and rifles. Morrison hobbled with Torres's support. Kira took point with the remaining Rangers providing security. They moved through the darkness like wounded animals, slow, vulnerable. Behind them, enemy fire intensified. The Taliban, or whoever they were, had realized the Rangers were extracting. Rounds snapped past. Someone grunted in pain. Private Dalton took a bullet through his shoulder, but kept moving. The team was falling apart step by step, but they kept moving. Kira navigated by memory and compass, pushing through terrain that wanted to kill them. Her legs burned. Her lungs screamed. Every instinct said to drop the gear and run. But you don't leave your wounded, not ever. They crested a ridge, and there it was, LZ Phoenix, a flat stretch of ground barely large enough for a helicopter. Empty, dark, no rescue waiting. Overwatch, Thunder 1 at LZ Phoenix. Where's our ride? Thunder 1, Kazovac is inbound. Estimate 8 minutes. 8 minutes. Kira positioned her team in a defensive perimeter around the LZ. 8 minutes for the enemy to catch up. 8 minutes to hold this position with injured Rangers and dwindling ammunition. Here they come, Hayes shouted. The enemy appeared on the ridgeline behind them. Not Taliban. Kira could see that now through her night vision. These fighters moved with military precision, professional gear, coordinated fire, and maneuver tactics. Someone had sent trained soldiers to kill them. This wasn't insurgents. This was something else. The firefight was brutal and close. The Rangers fought from their knees, from behind rocks, from desperation. Marcus pulled himself up despite his wound and fired methodically at the approaching enemy. Morrison balanced on his good leg and worked his rifle like he'd been taught. Kira moved between positions, directing fire, conserving ammunition, counting down the seconds. 5 minutes. 4. 3. Then she heard it, the blessed sound of helicopter rotors cutting through the night. Thunder 1, Kazovac is on approach. Pop smoke. Kira threw a green smoke grenade. The helicopter, a Black Hawk medevac, swooped in fast and low. The door gunner opened up with his minigun, tearing into the enemy positions and buying precious seconds. Go, go, go! Kira screamed. Her Rangers sprinted for the helicopter. Morrison and Marcus were loaded first, then Dalton with his shoulder wound. The rest piled in as enemy rounds punched holes in the Black Hawk's fuselage. Kira was last aboard. She grabbed the door frame and pulled herself up as the helicopter lifted off. Below, the enemy fighters rushed the LZ, firing uselessly at the climbing aircraft. She collapsed on the deck, gasping for air. Marcus lay beside her on a stretcher, his face pale but alive. He caught her eye and managed a weak smile. You disobeyed orders, he said. I learned from the best. The crew chief pressed bandages against Marcus's leg while the medics worked on Morrison. The helicopter banked hard, escaping into the storm that had been chasing them all night. Kira closed her eyes and let the exhaustion wash over her. They'd made it. All of them. Against the odds, against the mathematics, against every tactical principle she'd been taught. Sometimes the right choice wasn't the smart one. Sometimes it was just the one you could live with. Forward operating base Lightning looked the same as when they'd left, but everything felt different. Kira walked through the medical tent where her team was being treated. Morrison was sedated, his ankle in a cast. Dalton was in surgery for his shoulder. Marcus was awake, pumped full of painkillers and antibiotics. Hey, Lieutenant, he said when she approached. His voice was weak but steady. Heard you got us all home. We got each other home. She pulled up a chair. Doctor says you'll be off that leg for 3 months minimum. Could have been off it permanently if you'd listened to me. Lucky for you, I'm terrible at following orders. Marcus laughed, then winced. That joke's less funny when your leg's full of holes. Colonel Hale entered the tent. His expression was hard to read. Kira stood at attention, but he waved her down. Sit, Lieutenant. We need to talk. Her stomach tightened. She'd disobeyed a direct order to extract immediately. She'd risked 7 Rangers to save 2. By the book, she'd committed insubordination. At best, this was a reprimand. At worst, a court-martial. Hale looked at Marcus, then back at her. I read the mission report, bad intel, organized ambush, 2 wounded Rangers, and you chose to extract the entire team despite orders to abandon the injured. Yes, sir. That was stupid, Lieutenant. She met his eyes. It was the right call, sir. Right and smart aren't always the same thing. Hale crossed his arms. You got lucky. That storm delayed enemy reinforcements by 3 minutes. If they'd arrived sooner, you'd all be dead. You know that? Yes, sir. Good. Because luck isn't strategy. Next time you might not get lucky. He paused and something shifted in his expression. But you were right to trust your instinct. That's what I was trying to teach you. Regulations protect the institution, but you protect your people, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Kira didn't know what to say. She'd expected punishment. Instead, this felt like approval, almost like pride. The mission was compromised, Hale continued. We're investigating how the enemy knew your route. Someone fed them intelligence. We'll find out who. But that's above your pay grade now. He looked at Marcus. Sergeant Reeves will receive the Silver Star for valor under fire. The rest of your team will be commended. And me, sir? Kira asked. Hale smiled slightly. You'll receive whatever comes next, Lieutenant, because there's something else we need to discuss. Something about this mission that doesn't add up. He lowered his voice. Those fighters who ambushed you weren't Taliban. They were trained, professional. Someone hired them to kill you specifically, and I think I know who. Kira felt a chill run down her spine. Who? I'll brief you in the morning. Right now, get some rest. You've earned it. Hale started to leave, then stopped. One more thing, Lieutenant. What you did tonight, refusing to leave your wounded, that's real leadership. Most officers never learn that. They're taught to follow doctrine, to play the percentages, to sacrifice individuals for the mission. But the best leaders, they know when to break the rules. Remember that. He left her alone with Marcus. The sergeant was watching her with knowing eyes. You okay? He asked. I don't know. Kira rubbed her face. We almost died out there, all of us, because I wouldn't leave you behind. Yeah, and we didn't die because you made the hard call and executed it perfectly. That's what matters. Marcus shifted on his cot. Kandahar haunted you for 2 years. You thought you froze, that you weren't good enough. But tonight you proved you're exactly the officer we need, the kind who brings everyone home. What if next time I'm not that lucky? Then you'll make a different call, but you'll make it from your gut, not from fear. That's what I learned tonight. You're not the scared lieutenant from Kandahar anymore. You're the leader who carried me out of hell when the smart play was to run. Kira wanted to believe him. The doubt still lingered in her chest like smoke. But maybe that was normal. Maybe good leaders always second-guess themselves. Maybe confidence wasn't the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite it. Get some sleep, Marcus said. Something tells me tomorrow's going to be interesting. She left the medical tent and walked through the base. Dawn was breaking over the mountains, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. Another day in Afghanistan, another morning of survival. Her radio crackled. Colonel Hale's voice. Lieutenant Brennan, report to the operations center immediately. We have a situation. Kira changed direction and headed for the ops center. Her body ached. Her mind was exhausted. But something in Hale's tone said the night's events were just the beginning. She pushed through the door into the dim room filled with computer screens and tactical maps. Hale stood at the main display, studying a satellite image. Lieutenant, we have a problem, he said without turning. I just received intelligence about the ambush, about who set it up and why. He finally looked at her. And you're not going to believe what I'm about to tell you. The screen changed. A photograph appeared. A man in civilian clothes, older, with cold eyes. Former military by the way he carried himself. "This is Dominic Shaw," Hale said. "Ex-Delta Force. Dishonorably discharged 5 years ago for running an illegal weapons smuggling operation. He's been operating as a military contractor in Afghanistan ever since. Selling intelligence, arranging ambushes, basically a traitor." Kira studied the face. "He set us up?" "He did. But here's the interesting part." Hale pulled up more files. "Shaw didn't just ambush you randomly. He specifically requested intel about your mission. He wanted you dead, Lieutenant. He orchestrated this entire operation to kill you and your team." "Why? I've never heard of this guy." "That's what we need to figure out." Hale crossed his arms. "But I think it's connected to something bigger. Shaw doesn't work alone. He has resources, connections, and from what we're seeing, he's planning another operation. Soon." "What kind of operation?" "We don't know yet, but here's what I do know." Hale's voice dropped. "Shaw took something from the ambush site, from that compound you raided. Our drone footage shows him arriving 30 minutes after you extracted. He recovered something you missed." Kira's mind raced. The compound had been empty, nothing there, unless... "He's going to use me as bait," she realized. "He knows I'll come for my team if he threatens them. He's setting another trap." "Exactly, which is why what I'm about to ask you is completely off the books, completely unofficial, and completely your choice." Hale leaned forward. "I want you to go after Shaw. Find out what he's planning. Stop him before he kills more soldiers. But I can't order you to do this. It's too dangerous, too unofficial. If you say yes, you're on your own. No backup, no official support, just you and whoever volunteers to go with you." Kira thought about Marcus, wounded in the medical tent. She thought about her team, battered and bleeding but alive. She thought about the cold mathematics that said she should have left people behind, and the instinct that told her to fight for every single life. "When do we leave?" she asked. Hale smiled grimly. 48 hours. Shaw is holding up in a compound in the mountains. Remote location, hard to access, and he's got at least a dozen trained fighters with him." He paused. "He also has something else. Intelligence suggests he's captured someone, an American, could be military, could be civilian. We don't know. But if you're going to do this, that's your secondary objective. Rescue whoever he's holding, if they're still alive. And the primary objective? Eliminate Shaw permanently before he kills anyone else." Hale met her eyes. "This isn't a capture mission, Lieutenant. This is assassination. You comfortable with that?" Kira thought about the ambush, about her rangers fighting for their lives, about Marcus bleeding on the rocks, about the cold calculation in someone's mind that said those lives were expendable. "I'm comfortable with justice," she said. "Good, because Shaw sure as hell isn't getting arrested. He's too connected, too dangerous. The only way to stop him is to end him." Hale pulled up a tactical map. "I'll give you everything we have. Intel, weapons, transportation. But officially, this never happened. You're not there. I didn't send you. Clear?" "Crystal." "Then pick your team. You've got 48 hours to plan. After that, you're hunting a ghost." Hale turned back to the screens. "And Lieutenant, Shaw is good. He's Delta trained. He knows how we think, how we operate. This won't be like anything you've faced before. He'll be ready for you." Kira allowed herself a cold smile. "Then let's make sure I'm ready for him." She left the operations center as the sun fully crested the mountains. Somewhere in those peaks, Dominic Shaw was planning his next move. Probably thought he'd scared off the Rangers. Probably thought killing soldiers was just business. He was about to learn differently. Marcus had taught her that good leaders bring everyone home. Colonel Hale had taught her that sometimes you have to break the rules to do what's right. Now Kira was going to teach Dominic Shaw what happened when you threatened her Rangers. The mission had just begun. 48 hours felt like 48 minutes. Kira spent the first day studying everything Colonel Hale's intelligence network could provide about Dominic Shaw. The more she learned, the more dangerous this mission became. Shaw had been Delta Force for 12 years, multiple combat tours, expert in close-quarters combat, survival skills, and psychological warfare. His discharge had been quiet. The Army didn't like advertising when special operators went rogue. But the file was clear. Shaw had been caught selling classified intelligence to arms dealers. He'd narrowly avoided prison through a plea deal that included his discharge and permanent ban from military service. That had been 5 years ago. Since then, he'd been operating in Afghanistan's gray zones, sometimes working for the CIA as a contractor, sometimes selling information to the highest bidder, always one step ahead of consequences. The tactical map showed Shaw's compound nestled in a mountain valley 80 clicks north of Fob Lightning. Remote, defensible, accessible by only one viable route. The perfect place to wait for someone stupid enough to come after him. Marcus found her in the briefing room at midnight, hobbling on crutches. "You should be in bed," Kira said. "So should you." He lowered himself into a chair with a grunt. "Heard you're going after Shaw." "Officially, no one's going anywhere." "Unofficially?" She met his eyes. "Unofficially, I need 2 volunteers, 3 counting me, small team, fast insertion, hit Shaw before he knows we're there." "I'm in," Marcus said immediately. "You can't even walk." "I can shoot, and I can plan. You need experience on this one, Kira. Shaw's not some Taliban commander. He's us. He knows every trick we know. You need someone who's fought beside you." She wanted to say no, wanted to protect him after everything he'd been through. But Marcus was right. Shaw was Delta trained. This wasn't a mission for rookies. "What about your leg?" "Doctor says I can walk with a brace in 2 weeks. Good enough for me. Besides," he grinned, "you think I'm letting you run off and get into trouble without me? Who'd save your ass?" Despite everything, Kira laughed. "All right, you're volunteer number 1. But you follow my orders this time. No heroics." "Yes, ma'am." The second volunteer appeared the next morning. Specialist Hayes, their sniper, requested a private meeting. Kira knew what he wanted before he spoke. "I want in," Hayes said. "Whatever mission you're planning, I want in." "What makes you think there's a mission?" "Lieutenant, I've been in the Army 8 years. I know when something's happening off the books, and I know Shaw's the one who set us up." Hayes was 31, calm, professional, the kind of soldier who never panicked. "You need a sniper, someone who can provide overwatch while you breach." "That's me." Kira studied him. Hayes had been solid during the ambush, steady fire, good tactical thinking. Most importantly, he'd volunteered to help carry Marcus when others might have argued for leaving him. "This isn't official," she said. "If something goes wrong, the Army won't acknowledge we were there. No backup, no rescue. Just 3 of us against Shaw and however many fighters he's got." "Understood, ma'am." "And you're okay with that?" Hayes's expression hardened. "Shaw killed good soldiers with his intel. He would have killed more if you hadn't brought us home. Someone needs to stop him. Might as well be us." "All right, you're in." Kira pulled up the tactical map. "We leave tomorrow night. Insertion by helicopter, same as last time. But this time we don't trust the intelligence. We assume everything's compromised. We assume Shaw knows we're coming. And we plan accordingly." They spent the day rehearsing. Marcus couldn't participate physically, but he ran scenarios with them, playing Shaw's role, anticipating countermeasures. Hayes zeroed his rifle and calculated wind drift for the mountain altitudes. Kira memorized every detail of the compound layout, every approach route, every contingency. Colonel Hale provided equipment quietly, suppressed weapons, night vision, enough ammunition for a sustained firefight. He also provided one more piece of intelligence. "The American Shaw captured?" Hale showed her a blurry drone photo. "We got an ID. Captain Bradley Owens, Army Intelligence. He was operating undercover in the region, trying to track weapons shipments. Shaw grabbed him 3 days ago. Kira studied the photo. Owens looked mid-30s, fit, competent. Is he alive? Unknown, but Shaw hasn't killed him yet, which means he's useful, either for information or leverage. Either way, if Owens is alive, you bring him home. And if he's not, then you make sure Shaw doesn't live long enough to grab anyone else. That night, Kira stood on the flight line, watching the Black Hawk that would take them into the mountains. Marcus and Hayes were checking gear one final time. The helicopter crew were ghosts. No names, no unit patches, no acknowledgement of what they were doing. "You ready for this?" Marcus asked quietly. "No," Kira admitted, "but we're doing it anyway." "That's the spirit." He adjusted his leg brace. "Listen, if this goes wrong, if Shaw's got more fighters than we expect, if the odds turn bad, I want you to promise me something." "No." "You don't know what I'm going to say. You're going to ask me to leave you behind if things go to hell. And the answer is no. We're all coming back, or none of us are." Marcus smiled. "Stubborn. I learned from you." Hayes jointed them, rifle slung across his chest. "Birds ready. Time to go hunt some traitors." They loaded into the Black Hawk. No ceremony, no speech. Just 3 Rangers heading into the mountains to do what Rangers do: eliminate threats and bring people home. The helicopter lifted into the darkness. Below, FOB Lightning's lights faded into the distance. Ahead, the mountains loomed like teeth against the stars. Somewhere in those peaks, Dominic Shaw was waiting. Kira checked her weapon one more time, locked and loaded, ready for war. This time, she wouldn't let anyone get left behind. The helicopter dropped them 3 clicks from Shaw's compound, far enough to avoid detection, close enough to reach the target before dawn. They moved through the darkness in absolute silence, communicating with hand signals and trained instinct. The terrain was worse than the intelligence suggested: steep slopes, loose rock, altitude that left them gasping. Marcus's leg was clearly bothering him, but he pushed through without complaint. Hayes moved like a ghost, rifle ready, scanning for threats. Kira led from the front, navigating by GPS and night vision. Every 100 meters they paused, listening, watching, ensuring they hadn't been detected. Shaw was Delta trained. He'd have sentries, possibly sensors, definitely traps for anyone stupid enough to attack his position. After 2 hours, they reached Checkpoint Alpha, a ridgeline overlooking the valley where Shaw's compound sat. Hayes unpacked his spotting scope and studied the target. "I count 4 guards on the perimeter," he whispered, "rotating patrols every 15 minutes. Professional movements. These aren't hired locals. These are trained operators." Kira looked through her own scope. The compound was larger than the intel photos suggested. Multiple buildings, high walls, single entrance with a guard post. Lights burning inside despite the late hour. "Where would they keep a prisoner?" she asked. "Center building, most likely. Farthest from the walls, hardest to reach." Hayes adjusted his scope. "But there's something weird. See that vehicle by the east wall?" Kira shifted her view. A technical truck with a mounted machine gun, common in Afghanistan. But this one had expensive modifications: communications equipment, armor plating. "That's military-grade gear," she said. "Shaw's not just a rogue contractor. He's got serious backing." Question is, from who? Marcus studied the compound through his own scope. CIA? Russian intelligence? Someone's funding this operation. "Doesn't matter tonight. We're here for Owens and Shaw." Kira checked her watch. "Hayes, you set up Overwatch here. Marcus and I will infiltrate at 0200. That's when the guards change shift. We'll have a 30-second window." "And if things go loud?" Hayes asked. "Then you provide covering fire while we extract." She looked at both of them. "But remember, this is off the books. We can't call for backup. We can't wait for reinforcements. If this turns into a firefight, we're on our own." "Wouldn't be the first time," Marcus said. They waited for the guard change. 30 minutes feeling like hours. Kira used the time to study patrol patterns, memorize the compound layout, plan contingencies. Every mission had a point where planning ended and instinct took over. She could feel that point approaching. At 01:55, they moved. Hayes stayed on the ridge with his rifle. Marcus and Kira descended toward the compound, using the terrain for concealment. The guards were focused outward, expecting threats from the valley entrance. They weren't watching the mountains. First mistake. At 0200 exactly, the guards changed shift. 4 men moving toward the guard post. 4 others emerging to replace them. 30 seconds of confusion and distraction. Kira and Marcus were over the wall in 20 seconds. They dropped into a courtyard and froze, weapons up, scanning for targets. Nothing. The compound was quiet except for a generator humming somewhere. Lights burned in 2 buildings. Marcus pointed left, the center building where Owens was likely held. Kira nodded. They moved along the wall, using shadows for cover. Every step was calculated, every breath controlled. They reached the building's side entrance. Marcus checked for traps, nothing obvious. Kira tested the door. Unlocked. Second mistake. She pushed inside, weapon leading. A hallway stretched ahead, dimly lit by a single bulb. 3 doors on each side. At the end, a stairway leading down. Basement. Perfect place to keep a prisoner. They cleared each room as they advanced. Empty. Empty. Storage. Empty. The building felt abandoned except for a sound. Below them, someone moving. Voices. Kira and Marcus exchanged glances. He pointed down. She nodded. They descended the stairs slowly, every sense on high alert. The basement was larger than expected. 1 main room with concrete walls and a single hanging light. And there, chained to a support column, was Captain Bradley Owens. He looked like hell. Bruised face, split lip, days without proper food or water. But his eyes were alert when he saw them. He opened his mouth to speak, but Kira put a finger to her lips. Silence. Marcus moved to the chains while Kira covered the stairs. The locks were simple. Shaw wasn't worried about Owens escaping. Third mistake. Marcus freed the chains and helped Owens stand. The captain was shaky, but functional. "Can you walk?" Kira whispered. "Yeah, who are you?" "Rangers. We're getting you out." She checked the stairs. Still clear. "We go fast and quiet. Stay between us. Don't make a sound." They moved back through the building, up the stairs, down the hallway, almost to the exit when the lights went out. Complete darkness. Then red emergency lights flickered on, bathing everything in crimson. And over a loudspeaker, a voice, calm, professional, mocking. "Hello, Lieutenant Brennan. Welcome to my home." Shaw. Gunfire erupted from multiple positions simultaneously. Rounds punched through the walls, tore apart the doorframe where Kira had been standing seconds before. She dove left. Marcus went right. Owens hit the floor in the middle. "Hayes, contact!" Kira shouted into her radio. "Compound is hostile. We're pinned inside the center building." "Copy. I see muzzle flashes from 4 positions. Engaging now." Through the shattered doorway, Kira heard Hayes' rifle bark 3 times. Precise. Controlled. Each shot finding a target. The incoming fire lessened but didn't stop. "How did he know we were here?" Marcus asked, reloading. "He's been watching us the whole time," Owens gasped. His voice was rough from days of captivity. "Shaw has cameras everywhere. Motion sensors. He knew you were coming before you hit the wall." The loudspeaker crackled again. Shaw's voice, maddeningly calm. "I was hoping you'd come, Lieutenant. After that ambush didn't kill you, I needed a new plan. So I left breadcrumbs. Let Colonel Hale's little intelligence network think they'd found me. Captured poor Captain Owens as bait. And here you are, exactly as predicted." Kira's mind raced. Shaw had planned this from the beginning. The ambush wasn't meant to kill her. It was meant to provoke her, to make her angry enough to come after him, and she'd walked right into it. "Why?" she shouted toward the speaker. "What's this about?" "You really don't know? That's almost funny," Shaw laughed. "Your unit killed my brother, Lieutenant, 3 years ago. Kandahar province. Friendly fire incident during a raid. Army covered it up, called it an unfortunate accident. Gave my family a flag and a pension. Like that made it okay. Kandahar, 3 years ago. Kira remembered that raid, remembered the chaos. A soldier had died. She thought it was insurgent fire. But if it was friendly fire, your brother's death was an accident, she said. Was it? Or was it incompetence? Poor leadership? The same kind of leadership that almost got your whole team killed last week. Shaw's voice hardened. I spent 3 years planning this. 3 years watching, waiting, learning everything about your unit, about you. And now I'm going to make sure you die the same way my brother did. Abandoned, alone, while your team escapes without you. Hayes, Kira said quietly into her radio. Shaw's trying to separate us. Don't fall for it. Not planning on it, ma'am, but we've got a problem. I'm seeing more hostiles moving toward your position. At least 8 fighters. You need to extract now. 8 plus however many were already firing at them. Against 3 Rangers and 1 injured intel officer. The math was brutal. Marcus caught her eye. She saw the calculation there. The same decision she'd faced at the ambush. Stay and fight impossible odds, or run and maybe survive. But this time was different. This time Shaw was expecting them to run. We go forward, Kira decided. Shaw's in this compound somewhere. We find him, we end this. That's suicide, Owen said. So is trying to escape through 8 trained fighters. She checked her ammunition. 3 magazines left. Marcus, you good? Good enough. He gripped his rifle, despite the pain in his leg. Let's finish this. The building's back wall had a window, small, high up, but large enough to squeeze through. Kira boosted Marcus up first. He crashed through the glass and rolled into the courtyard beyond. Owens went next, moving surprisingly well for someone who'd been captive for days. Kira followed last, pulling herself through as bullets tore apart the room behind her. They were in the compound's center now, surrounded, fighters closing in from all sides. Hayes was providing covering fire, but he couldn't see their position anymore. Where would Shaw be? Kira asked Owens. North building. That's where he spends his time. 2nd floor. He's got a whole command center up there. Perfect. Time to end this. They moved fast, using buildings for cover, returning fire when necessary. Marcus was limping badly now, but refused to slow down. The compound erupted into chaos. Shaw's fighters converging, Hayes picking them off from the ridge, tracers cutting through the darkness. They reached the north building. Marcus kicked in the door and they stormed inside. A fighter appeared from a side room. Kira shot him twice. Another came down the stairs. Marcus took him out. They were running on pure aggression now, pushing through resistance with focused violence. Up the stairs, 2nd floor, a door at the end of the hallway, Shaw's command center. Kira didn't knock. She fired 3 rounds through the lock and kicked the door open. The room was empty, except for computers and monitors. Dozens of screens showing camera feeds from around the compound. Shaw had been watching everything, planning, anticipating. But where was he? Behind you, Shaw's voice said. Kira spun. Shaw stood in the doorway they just entered through, weapon raised. How had he? Marcus fired first. His rounds hit Shaw in the chest, but Shaw was wearing armor. He staggered but didn't go down. His return fire forced Marcus and Kira behind the computers. You're good, Lieutenant, Shaw said conversationally, like they were discussing tactics over coffee. Better than I expected, but not good enough. He threw something into the room. Grenade. Kira saw it rolling toward them, had maybe 2 seconds to react. She grabbed Marcus and dove through the window as the grenade exploded behind them. They hit the ground hard, glass everywhere, ears ringing. Above them, the building was on fire. Smoke poured from the shattered window. "Hayes, building's compromised," Kira transmitted. "Where's Shaw?" "I've got him. North side, moving toward the vehicle bay. He's trying to escape." No, after everything, Shaw wasn't getting away. Kira pulled Marcus to his feet. "Can you move?" "Better than I look." Blood ran down his face from a dozen cuts. "Let's go." They ran toward the vehicle bay, toward Shaw, toward the end of this nightmare. Fighters tried to stop them. Kira and Marcus cut through them with the efficiency of soldiers who'd run out of patience for obstacles. The vehicle bay came into view. Shaw was climbing into an armored SUV, his escape vehicle. The engine roared to life. Hayes's rifle cracked once. The shot hit the windshield, but the armored glass held. Shaw accelerated toward the compound's exit. Kira saw the technical truck with the mounted machine gun, saw the keys still in the ignition, made a split-second decision. "Marcus, get Owens! Hayes, cover us! I'm going after Shaw!" She sprinted to the technical, jumped behind the gun, and swung it toward the fleeing SUV. The weapon was Russian-made, familiar from training. She pressed the trigger and the world exploded into thunder. 50 caliber rounds tore through the night, tracking Shaw's vehicle. The SUV's armor might stop rifles, but not this. Rounds punched through the rear, the sides, shattering the escape vehicle's mechanical guts. The SUV swerved, crashed through the compound wall, and rolled 3 times before coming to rest upside down. Silence. Smoke. The smell of gunpowder and burning rubber. Kira climbed down from the technical, weapon raised, approaching the wreckage. Inside, Shaw was struggling to free himself from the crushed interior. Blood covered his face. His arm bent at an unnatural angle. "It's over," Kira said. "You're done." Shaw laughed, a wet sound that came with blood. "Over? You think this is over? I'm just one person, Lieutenant. There are others like me, other soldiers who've been betrayed by this system, other brothers who've died because of incompetent leadership. You can kill me, but you can't stop what's coming." "Maybe not, but I can stop you." She should have pulled the trigger then, should have finished it. But something held her back. Maybe the knowledge that Shaw's brother had died on her watch. Maybe the understanding that revenge, no matter how justified, just created more revenge. "Hayes," she radioed, "call it in. We've got Shaw. He's alive. Barely." "Copy that. Are you sure about this, Lieutenant? Shaw's killed a lot of people." "I'm sure. We're soldiers, not executioners. He'll face justice the right way." Marcus appeared at her side, supporting Owens. Behind them, the compound burned. Shaw's fighters were either dead or fleeing into the mountains. Hayes descended from his overwatch position, rifle still ready. "We did it," Marcus said quietly. "Yeah, we did." Kira looked at Shaw, broken and bleeding in the wreckage. "But he was right about one thing. This isn't over. There are more like him out there, more threats we'll have to face. Then we'll face them, together." Marcus smiled despite his injuries. "That's what Rangers do." Helicopter rotors cut through the night, Colonel Hale's extraction team arriving right on schedule. Unauthorized, unofficial, but there nonetheless. They loaded Shaw onto a stretcher. He'd live long enough to answer questions. Owens climbed aboard, finally free. Marcus hobbled up with Hayes's help. Kira took one last look at the burning compound, at the place where Dominic Shaw had planned to kill her and her team, at the mission that had almost ended in disaster, but instead ended in victory. "Lieutenant," Hayes called from the helicopter, "you coming?" "Yeah, I'm coming." She climbed aboard and the helicopter lifted off, leaving the mountains and their ghosts behind. But as they flew back toward FOB Lightning, Kira couldn't shake Shaw's words. "There are others like me, other soldiers who've been betrayed." How many more Dominic Shaws were out there? How many more threats would she have to face? The answers would come soon enough. For now, she was just glad to have brought everyone home. The helicopter landed at FOB Lightning as dawn broke. Medical teams swarmed Shaw's stretcher, taking him to a secure facility. Owens was taken for debriefing and medical evaluation. Marcus insisted he could walk, but the doctors overruled him, forcing him onto a gurney. Kira stood on the flight line, exhausted, covered in dust and blood, watching the sunrise paint the mountains gold. Colonel Hale approached. "Hell of a mission, Lieutenant." "Officially, there was no mission, sir." "Right, officially." He handed her a sealed folder. But unofficially, Shaw's already talking, giving up names, locations. Turns out he wasn't working alone. There's a whole network of former soldiers running operations like his, smuggling weapons, selling intelligence. Some are in it for money, others, like Shaw, for revenge. Kira took the folder. "And you want me to do something about it?" "Not yet. First you're going to rest. Get your team patched up. Take a week." Hale's expression was serious. "But after that? Yeah, there's more work to do. And I need officers I can trust. Officers who understand that sometimes the right thing isn't the same as the authorized thing." "What about Shaw's brother? His death in Kandahar? Was it really friendly fire?" Hale hesitated. "That's complicated. The official report said insurgent fire. But there were questions, inconsistencies. The Army buried it because friendly fire incidents are bad PR." He met her eyes. "Shaw's brother died because someone panicked during a firefight. Happens more often than anyone wants to admit. But it was covered up. Shaw had a right to be angry. He just chose the wrong way to express it." Kira felt the weight of that. Soldiers dying from mistakes, then the mistakes being buried. No wonder Shaw had turned. No wonder he'd spent 3 years planning revenge. "The soldier who pulled the trigger," she asked quietly, "who was it?" Hale's silence was answer enough. She understood. Some secrets stayed buried for good reasons. Knowing wouldn't change the past, wouldn't bring Shaw's brother back, would only create more pain. "Get some sleep, Lieutenant. That's an order." She walked to the medical tent where Marcus was being treated. His leg wound had reopened during the fight. The doctors were stitching him back together, again, with the tired efficiency of people who'd done this too many times. "How bad?" she asked when the doctor stepped away. 3 more months recovery, minimum." Marcus looked disgusted. "I'll be pushing papers while you're out there hunting bad guys." "Good, you've earned a break." "So have you." Kira sat down. Every muscle ached. Every joint protested. She couldn't remember the last time she'd slept properly, but her mind wouldn't stop running, replaying the mission, analyzing mistakes, planning for next time. "You did good tonight," Marcus said. "Brought everyone home again, including the prisoner, including me. That's 2 for 2, Lieutenant." "I almost got us killed. Shaw was right. I walked into his trap." "But you walked out again. That's what matters." Marcus adjusted his position, wincing. "Hey, remember what I told you after the ambush? About trusting your instincts?" "Yeah, I was right. Your instincts are solid. Shaw had every advantage. Preparation, position, numbers. But you still beat him because you trusted yourself. Because you didn't let fear or doubt control you." He paused. "I'm proud of you, Kira, for what that's worth." It was worth more than she could express. Marcus's approval meant everything. He'd been her mentor, her friend, the soldier who'd carried her when she couldn't walk. Now she'd carried him. The circle was complete. "Get some rest," she said. "I'll check on you later." "You better. Someone's got to make sure you don't volunteer for more unauthorized missions." She left him sleeping and walked through the base. Soldiers were waking up, starting their day, unaware of what had happened in the mountains. Unaware of Shaw, of the network he'd revealed, of the threats still out there. Hayes found her in the mess hall, eating breakfast like a zombie. He sat down across from her with his own tray. "Hell of a night," he said. "You could say that. I'm in, by the way, for whatever comes next, if you need a sniper again." Kira studied him. Hayes was solid, dependable, the kind of soldier you wanted at your back when things got bad. Why? Because someone needs to stop people like Shaw, and you're the only officer I've met who's willing to break the rules when the rules are wrong. He took a bite of eggs. Plus, you bring people home. That matters. Even when it's stupid, even when it almost gets everyone killed, especially then. Hayes smiled. The easy missions don't need good leaders. The impossible ones do. And you're good at the impossible. She wanted to believe him, wanted to feel the confidence everyone seemed to see in her. But the doubt remained, small and persistent, whispering about all the ways things could have gone wrong. Maybe that was normal. Maybe good leaders always carried doubt like weight. The key was not letting it paralyze you. Thanks, Hayes. Anytime, ma'am. Later, alone in her quarters, Kira opened the folder Hale had given her. Inside were photographs, documents, intelligence reports, names of other operators like Shaw, locations of suspected operations, evidence of a network that ran deeper than anyone suspected. At the bottom was a handwritten note from Hale. Lieutenant Brennan, the mission never ends. There's always another threat, another enemy, another choice between regulations and doing what's right. I'm offering you a chance to be part of something bigger, something that operates in the shadows to keep the light safe. It's dangerous, unofficial, and absolutely necessary. Think about it. Hale. Kira stared at the note for a long time. Part of her wanted to refuse, to stay with her unit, to do things the authorized way. But another part, the part that had defied orders to save Marcus, the part that had gone after Shaw when everyone said it was suicide, that part knew she was already committed. Some soldiers fought in the light. Others fought in the shadows. Both were necessary. Both protected the same thing. She thought about Shaw's words, about his brother's death, about the soldiers who'd been betrayed by the system they served. Some had turned traitor, but others, like her, kept fighting, kept believing that honor meant something, that loyalty mattered more than regulations. There are others like me, Shaw had said. He was right. There were others, but they weren't all traitors. Some were rangers who refused to leave anyone behind. Some were leaders who broke rules to do what was right. Some were soldiers who fought in the shadows so others could live in the light. Kira made her decision. She'd sleep for a week, recover, heal. But after that she'd join Hale's shadow operation. She'd hunt down the network Shaw had revealed. She'd face whatever came next with the same determination that had gotten her through the ambush and the mission into Shaw's compound. Because that's what Rangers did. They faced impossible odds. They refused to quit. They brought everyone home. And if doing that meant operating outside normal channels, breaking rules, fighting in the shadows, then that's what she'd do. The mission never ended, but neither did the commitment to protect your people, no matter the cost. Kira closed the folder and finally let herself rest. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new threats, new impossible choices. But tonight, she'd sleep knowing she'd done the right thing. She'd brought everyone home. The week of rest felt like a month. Kira spent the first 2 days sleeping 16 hours at a stretch. Her body demanded recovery. Every muscle ached. Every joint protested. She'd pushed herself past every reasonable limit during the Shaw mission. But by day 3, she was restless. Marcus was still in medical, healing slowly. Hayes had returned to his regular duties, but kept checking in. The base felt too normal, too routine, after everything that had happened. Colonel Hale found her in the gym on day 5. She was running on the treadmill, trying to outpace the thoughts that wouldn't stop circling. "Ready to get back to work?" he asked. "Depends on the work. Come with me." He led her to a secure briefing room she'd never seen before. Deep in the base, behind multiple security checkpoints, air-gapped from normal communications. This was where secrets lived. Inside, 3 other officers waited. 2 she recognized, captains from other units on the base. The third was a woman in civilian clothes, early 40s, with the calm confidence of serious operators. Lieutenant Brennan, meet Task Force Shadow, Hale said. Captain Reese, Captain Zhang, and Sarah Cortez from CIA. They're the team hunting the network, Shaw revealed. Kira shook hands with each of them. Reese was Army Special Forces, weathered and professional. Zhang was a logistics officer who didn't look like he belonged in a shadow operation until you saw his eyes. Cold, calculating, dangerous. Cortez had the CIA look, friendly surface, steel underneath. Shaw talked, Cortez said without preamble, gave us 12 names, locations of safe houses, drop points for weapons shipments, routes for smuggling operations. The network is bigger than we thought, spans 3 countries, at least 40 operatives, maybe more. Hale pulled up a map on the screen. We've been tracking these bastards for months. Shaw was just one node in a larger web. But now we have a chance to roll up the entire operation. He looked at Kira. And we need someone who understands their mindset. Someone who knows what makes a good soldier go bad. You want me to hunt them, Kira said. Not exactly, Cortez leaned forward. We want you to infiltrate them. Go undercover. Pretend you're interested in joining their operation. Shaw's arrest is being kept quiet. As far as the network knows, he's just gone dark. We can use that. The room felt suddenly smaller. You want me to become a traitor? A fake traitor, Captain Reese clarified. You'd maintain contact with us the entire time. Feed intelligence. Help us identify key players. And when the time is right, we take them all down simultaneously. Kira looked at Colonel Hale. Is this why you recruited me? To go undercover? I recruited you because you're a good officer who understands that sometimes the mission requires flexibility. Hale's expression was serious. This is voluntary, Lieutenant. You can say no. Go back to your unit. Forget any of this happened. But if you say yes, this becomes your life. Deep cover. Months, maybe longer. No contact with your team. No acknowledgement from the Army. You disappear. Marcus's words echoed in her mind. Sometimes you just gotta trust your gut and execute. What did her gut say? It said soldiers like Shaw's network were a cancer. They'd betrayed their oaths, sold out their brothers, killed for money or revenge. They needed to be stopped. But going undercover meant leaving her team, meant lying to people she'd fought beside, meant becoming something she wasn't, even temporarily. Could she do that? Could she sacrifice her identity to protect others? How would it work? She asked. Cortez smiled slightly. We've identified a potential entry point. Shaw had a contact, a former Marine named Ethan Cross. Runs weapons through Pakistan into Afghanistan. Cross is looking for new partners after Shaw went dark. We've been building a legend for you. Disgraced officer, passed over for promotion, angry at the system, perfect candidate for recruitment. And you think Cross will buy it? If you sell it right, you've got the credentials, combat experience, leadership skills, tactical knowledge, everything Cross wants. Plus, Cortez paused, you have something they need, insider access to FOB Lightning's operations. The pieces clicked together. You want me to give them real intelligence to prove I'm legitimate. Carefully controlled intelligence, nothing that would actually compromise security, but enough to establish trust. Hale crossed his arms. This is dangerous, Lieutenant. These people kill traitors. If they suspect you're undercover, you're dead, and we might not be able to extract you in time. Kira thought about Marcus in the medical tent, about Hayes providing overwatch, about her rangers trusting her to bring them home. This mission would mean abandoning them, becoming someone else, living a lie. But it would also mean protecting countless soldiers from the network's treachery. It would mean stopping the next Shaw before he could set up another ambush. It would mean fighting in the shadows so others could live in the light. I'll do it, she said. But I need 2 things. Name them, Hale said. First, if this goes wrong, you don't abandon the extraction. You come for me no matter what. Done. And second, Marcus and Hayes, I need to tell them something. Not the truth, but something that explains why I'm disappearing. They've earned that much. Cortez looked at Hale. He nodded slowly. Agreed, but nothing about the operation. Tell them you're being reassigned. Special duty, that's all. When do I start? 48 hours. We've already set up your legend. Lieutenant Kira Brennan, passed over for captain, bitter about Army politics, looking for a way out. Cross will make contact through intermediaries. You'll meet him in Kabul. After that, Cortez shrugged, you're committed. Kira left the briefing room feeling like she just volunteered for something far more dangerous than Shaw's compound. At least there, the enemy had been obvious. This was gray zones and moral ambiguity. This was becoming the thing you hated to fight what you believed in. But someone had to do it, and she'd already proven she was willing to break rules when necessary. Marcus was sitting up when she found him in the medical tent. His leg was elevated, wrapped in fresh bandages. He looked better than a week ago, but still fragile in a way that didn't suit him. You're leaving, he said before she could speak. How'd you know? You've got that look, the one you had before we went after Shaw, like you're preparing to do something stupid and honorable. He smiled slightly. Where are they sending you? I can't say. Special duty, classified. You know how it is. Yeah, I know. Marcus studied her face. This is Hale's doing. He's recruited you for something. I can't confirm that. You don't have to. I know him. Knew him from before, when he was still Delta. He builds teams for the ugly missions, the ones that don't officially exist. Marcus shifted, wincing. Just promise me you'll be careful. Whatever you're doing, come back in one piece. That's the plan. Plans change. Combat teaches you that. He reached for her hand. Listen, Kira, you saved my life. Twice now. You brought the team home when anyone else would have left us. That makes you the best officer I've ever served under. But it also makes you someone worth protecting. So if this mission gets ugly, if you need extraction, call. I'll come. Leg or no leg. You disobey orders for me? I learn from the best. She squeezed his hand. Take care of yourself, Marcus. The team needs you. When I get back, When you get back, we'll go hunting again. But this time, officially, with backup. No more shadow operations. He smiled. Deal? Deal. Hayes was harder to find. She tracked him to the firing range where he was running drills, putting rounds downrange with mechanical precision. Each shot a perfect center mass. Each group tight enough to cover with a quarter. You're leaving, he said without looking up from his scope. How does everyone know? We're Rangers, ma'am. We pay attention. He fired 3 more shots, then safed his weapon. Where are you going? Can't say, but I wanted to thank you. For Shaw's compound, for the overwatch. You saved us. Just doing my job. It was more than that. You volunteered when you didn't have to. That matters. Hayes was quiet for a moment, then, my first deployment, we had a lieutenant who got half the platoon killed because he followed doctrine instead of instinct. Played it safe, by the book. And good men died. Since then, I've been careful about who I follow, who I trust. He looked at her. You're the first officer since then who I'd follow into hell, because I know you'd fight to bring us back. I appreciate that. Just don't forget it. Whatever you're doing, whatever classified mission they've got you on, remember why soldiers follow you. It's not because you're perfect. It's because you give a damn. He picked up his rifle. Come back safe, Lieutenant. She left the range feeling the weight of their trust. These soldiers believed in her, believed she'd keep fighting for them, keep bringing them home. But she was about to become someone else. Someone who couldn't protect them. Someone who might have to betray that trust, at least on the surface. The next 48 hours passed in a blur. Cortez drilled her on the legend. Every detail, every lie. She memorized a false history, practiced bitter complaints about the army, learned to channel real frustrations into a convincing performance. Captain Reese taught her tradecraft, dead drops, coded messages, how to spot surveillance, how to lose a tail. All the skills of espionage wrapped in military experience. Captain Zhang handled logistics, fake documents, burner phones, emergency extraction protocols, everything she'd need to survive deep cover. By the time she boarded the helicopter to Kabul, Kira Brennan, the ranger officer, had effectively disappeared. In her place was someone else, someone angry and disillusioned, someone willing to sell out for money and revenge. The lie felt like poison, but necessary poison, like amputating a limb to save a life. Kabul was chaos, noise, dust, crowds, a city barely holding together under the weight of decades of war. Kira moved through it like a ghost, following Cortez's instructions, heading to a cafe in the old city. Ethan Cross was waiting at a corner table. Former Marine, dishonorably discharged for assault, now a weapons dealer with connections throughout the region. He was early 40s, hard-faced, with eyes that missed nothing. "You're the disgraced lieutenant," he said without preamble, "and you're the man who can help me disappear." "Maybe. First tell me why I should trust you, why you're turning on the army." This was the test, the moment where she sold the lie or died trying. Kira thought about all the real frustrations, the bureaucracy, the politics. The Times doctrine contradicted common sense. She channeled those feelings, made them bigger, more bitter. 3 months ago, I brought my entire team home from an ambush, saved lives, completed the mission. You know what I got? A lecture about following orders, about not risking myself. Meanwhile, the officer who set us up with bad intel got promoted. She leaned forward. "I spent years following rules that protect cowards and punish competence. I'm done with it." Cross studied her. "Shaw said you were good, said you were the kind of soldier who should be working for us, not against us." Her heart stuttered. "Shaw? Dominic Shaw? You know him?" "We had a mutual problem recently. I solved it. He owes me." "Interesting. Shaw's been hard to reach lately. You know why?" This was the razor's edge. Admit she'd arrested Shaw and blow her cover. Deny knowledge and seem suspicious. The only option was to deflect. Shaw's smart enough to know when to go to ground. We both are. She met Cross's eyes. "Are we doing business or wasting time?" Cross smiled. It wasn't pleasant. "Business. Shaw was right. You've got spine. I could use someone with your skills. Someone who knows current army operations. Someone who can provide intelligence." "I can do that, for the right price." "Money's easy, but first you prove yourself. There's a convoy leaving FOB Lightning in 2 days. Sensitive cargo. I need the route, the timing, the security details." Kira's stomach tightened. This was the test Cortez had prepared her for. The convoy was real, but the route would be changed. Cross would get intel that seemed legitimate, but wouldn't actually compromise anyone. It was carefully controlled theater, but it also meant fully committing to the lie. Becoming a traitor in everything but truth. "I can get that," she said. "Good. You deliver. We talk about long-term work. Maybe introduce you to some people. Shaw wasn't our only operator. We've got a whole network." "That's what I want. To be part of something that values competence over politics." Cross stood. "We'll see. Prove yourself first, then we talk." He left cash on the table and walked out. Kira sat alone, feeling like she just crossed a line she couldn't uncross. She'd done it, sold the lie, convinced a traitor she was one of them. Now came the hard part, living that lie, becoming that person. Fighting in shadows so deep she might not find her way back to the light. But she'd made her choice. Some soldiers fought in the light. She'd fight in the dark. The network was bigger than anyone suspected. Kira spent 3 months embedded with Cross's operation, feeding intelligence to Cortez through coded messages and dead drops. Each week revealed new names, new operations, new betrayals. She met the other operatives, soldiers like Shaw, bitter and broken, who turned their skills toward profit and revenge. Some were sympathetic, casualties of a system that had failed them. Others were simply mercenaries, selling death to whoever paid. Kira documented everything: routes, safe houses, financial connections. She became indispensable to Cross, who trusted her more with each successful op. The intel she provided, carefully controlled by Cortez, made Cross's operation look successful while actually feeding Task Force Shadow exactly what they needed. But the cost was brutal. Living the lie every day, pretending to be someone she wasn't, watching operations that got soldiers killed and having to stay silent to maintain cover. Each day ate away at something inside her. 3 months in, Cross introduced her to the network's leader, a former CIA officer named Viktor Sokolov, Russian-American, 50-ish, brilliant and ruthless. He'd built the network from nothing, recruiting disillusioned operators, providing them resources and targets. Shaw spoke highly of you before he disappeared, Sokolov said when they met. His English had only the faintest accent. He said you were the kind of soldier who understood that loyalty goes both ways, that the system must earn our service, not demand it. Shaw was right, Kira said. The army's full of politicians playing with soldiers' lives. Indeed, and that's why we exist, to profit from their failures, to punish their incompetence. Sokolov poured vodka into 2 glasses. To your future with us, Lieutenant. She drank, hating every second. Sokolov was everything Shaw had been, but colder, more calculated. He didn't have Shaw's personal vendetta. He just saw soldiers as resources to exploit. I have a mission for you, Sokolov continued, a test of sorts. There's a convoy moving through Kandahar province next week. High-value target, a colonel who's been causing problems for our operations. I want you to lead the ambush. Kira's blood froze. Lead it? Yes, prove you're committed. Prove you're one of us, Sokolov smiled. Unless you have doubts? This was the moment Cortez had warned her about. The moment where maintaining cover meant crossing a line she couldn't morally accept. Ambushing a convoy, killing soldiers, becoming exactly what she was pretending to be. No doubts, she said. I'll do it. But in her head, she was already planning how to warn Cortez, how to stop the ambush without blowing her cover. 3 months of work couldn't end here. She was too close, had too much intelligence, could expose the entire network if she just held on a little longer. That night, she made the drop. Coded message to Cortez. Ambush planned. Need extraction now. Can't maintain cover. The response came 12 hours later. Hold position. Ambush will be neutralized. Stay in character. Kira wanted to scream. She was being asked to lead soldiers into a trap that would mysteriously fail. To maintain the lie while her own people cleaned up the mess. But what if something went wrong? What if the neutralization wasn't perfect? What if someone died because she'd maintained her cover? The next 4 days were torture. She planned the ambush with Cross, identifying positions, timing, approach routes. All the while, she knew Cortez was feeding this information to military intelligence, knew the convoy would be warned, knew counterintelligence would be waiting, but she couldn't be sure, couldn't guarantee no one would die. The ambush was scheduled for 0600. Kira led 12 fighters to the ambush point, positioned them perfectly, gave clear orders. Every instinct screamed at her to sabotage this, to warn the convoy directly, to stop pretending she was someone she wasn't. But that would blow the entire operation, would let Sokolov and the rest of the network escape, would sacrifice months of intelligence gathering and risk for nothing. So she waited and hoped Cortez knew what she was doing. At 0550, the fighters were in position. Kira watched the road through her scope, waiting for the convoy. Her hands were steady despite everything, years of training taking over. At 0600 the convoy appeared. 3 vehicles, moving fast, right on schedule. "Hold," Kira ordered. "Wait for my signal." The lead vehicle passed the kill zone. The second vehicle entered. Almost time. Then everything changed. The convoy vehicles suddenly accelerated, motors roaring. From the ridge lines behind Kira's position, helicopter gunships appeared, opening up with chain guns. From the road, soldiers deployed, returning fire with precision. It was a perfect counter-ambush, and Kira and her fighters were the targets. "Retreat!" she screamed. "Fall back!" The fighters scattered, trying to escape the overwhelming firepower. But they were pinned, caught in their own trap. Helicopters circled like predators. Soldiers advanced with tactical precision. Cross went down first, hit by automatic fire. 2 other fighters died trying to run. The rest surrendered, hands up, weapons thrown aside. Kira stayed behind cover, weapon raised but not firing. This was the extraction Cortez had promised. This was the end of the operation. 3 months of deep cover ending in simulated betrayal. A soldier approached her position. Army Ranger, weapon trained on her center mass. "Lieutenant Brennan, you need to surrender now." She recognized the voice. "Hayes." "Hayes?" she called out. "What are you?" "Drop your weapon, ma'am. This is over." She did as ordered, weapon clattering on the rocks. Hayes moved in fast, secured her hands with zip ties, professionally rough. To anyone watching, she was just another captured insurgent. But as he led her toward the convoy, he whispered, "Good to see you alive, Lieutenant. We were starting to worry." The safe house was nondescript, a compound in Kabul that could have belonged to anyone. But inside, it was pure intelligence operation. Computers, secure communications, maps with red pins marking targets. Cortez was there when they brought Kira in. So was Colonel Hale, Captain Reese, and Captain Zhang, the whole team that had sent her undercover 3 months ago. "You did it," Cortez said simply. "The network's exposed. We've got locations, names, financial records, enough to roll up the entire operation." Kira sat down heavily. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving exhaustion in something darker. "I almost got soldiers killed today. If that counter-ambush had been 1 minute late..." "It wasn't. We had eyes on you the entire time. If anything had gone wrong, we would have intervened." Cortez pulled up files on a computer. "Because of your intelligence, we've identified 43 operatives across 3 countries. Military personnel in 4 different bases who were selling information. CIA contractors who'd gone rogue. Russian intelligence officers running operations through cutouts. And Sokolov? Arrested 2 hours ago in Dubai. Didn't even know what hit him." Hale looked satisfied. "This network's done, finished, because you spent 3 months living a lie and brought us the truth." The satisfaction felt hollow. Kira had done what was necessary, had infiltrated the enemy, had gathered intelligence, had helped destroy a network that threatened countless soldiers. But the cost had been brutal. "The soldiers I worked with," she said quietly, "Cross's fighters. They're just like Shaw, broken men who'd been failed by the system. Are they all going to prison?" "Some will. Others will get deals if they cooperate." Hale crossed his arms. "Not everyone who turns can be saved, Lieutenant. You know that. Some choices can't be undone." She did know. She'd seen it in Shaw's eyes, in Cross's face, in the bitter determination of soldiers who decided their oaths meant nothing anymore. They'd chosen betrayal. The reasons might be understandable, but the actions were unforgivable. "What happens to me now?" Kira asked. "That's your choice." Cortez closed the laptop. "You can return to your unit, resume being Lieutenant Brennan, regular Army officer. Forget any of this happened. Or," she paused, "you can join Task Force Shadow permanently. We need officers like you, people who can operate in gray zones, who understand that sometimes protecting soldiers means becoming something you're not. Kira thought about Marcus, about Hayes, about her rangers waiting back at FOB Lightning. They thought she'd been on special duty, reassigned. They didn't know she'd spent 3 months pretending to be a traitor, living with people who'd betrayed everything she believed in. Could she go back to normal duty after that? Could she pretend the past 3 months hadn't changed her? I need to think about it, she said. Fair enough, take a week. Get cleaned up, rest, then decide. Hale stood. But before you go, there's someone here who wants to see you. The door opened. Marcus walked in, still using a cane but walking on his own. He looked thinner than 3 months ago, harder somehow. Behind him came Hayes, carrying his rifle, like always. You look like hell, Lieutenant, Marcus said. Feel worse. Kira stood, suddenly emotional in a way she hadn't been through the entire debriefing. What are you doing here? Officially? Reassigned to special duty, just like you. Marcus smiled. Unofficially? Hale recruited us, told us you were deep cover, asked if we wanted to be part of your extraction team. You knew? The whole time? Not the details, just that you were doing something dangerous and might need backup. Hayes leaned his rifle against the wall. We volunteered immediately. Why? Because that's what Rangers do, Marcus said simply. We don't leave anyone behind, even when they're deep undercover, pretending to be someone they're not, risking their lives to protect us, especially then. The emotion broke through. Kira felt tears she'd been holding back for 3 months finally escape. The cost of the lie, the weight of betraying her identity, the fear that she'd gone so deep into darkness she'd never find her way back. All of it crashing over her at once. Marcus crossed the room and pulled her into a hug. You did good, Kira. You saved lives, destroyed a network that would have killed countless soldiers. That's what matters. I almost became them, she whispered, living that lie, pretending to be a traitor. Some days I couldn't remember who I really was. But you never forgot why you were there. That's the difference. He pulled back, meeting her eyes. Shaw and the others? They forgot. They let their anger and bitterness consume them. You never did. You stayed true even when it was hard, even when it cost everything. Hayes nodded. The mission's over, Lieutenant. You can come home now. Home. The word felt foreign after 3 months of lies, but also perfect. Home meant her team, her rangers, the people who'd trusted her even when she disappeared into shadows, the soldiers who'd volunteered to extract her even though they didn't know the full story. So what do you say? Marcus asked. You joining Task Force Shadow permanently or coming back to the unit? Kira thought about the choice between normal duty and shadow operations, between following regulations and breaking rules when necessary, between light and darkness. Then she realized the choice was already made. She'd made it 3 months ago when she'd volunteered to go undercover. She'd made it a week before that when she'd defied orders to save Marcus. She'd made it 2 years ago in Kandahar when Marcus had carried her through a minefield. Some soldiers fought in the light, others fought in the shadows. Both protected the same thing. Both honored the same values. Both brought their people home. I'll join Shadow, she said, but only if you two join with me. I need a team I can trust, people who understand the mission, people who won't leave anyone behind. Marcus and Hayes exchanged glances. Then Marcus grinned. We already told Hale yes. We're in. All 3 of us. Then let's get to work. Kira felt the weight lifting. The lie was over. She could be herself again. But this time, herself included the shadows, included the gray zones, included the missions that didn't officially exist. We've got a network to dismantle and soldiers to protect. And we'll do it together, Hayes said, the way it should be. Cortez cleared her throat. Glad that's settled. Welcome to Task Force Shadow, Lieutenant. I'll brief you on the next operation tomorrow. For tonight, get some rest. You've earned it. They left the safe house and walked through cobbled streets. 3 Rangers who'd survived ambushes, infiltrations, and impossible choices. 3 soldiers who'd refused to abandon each other even when regulations said they should. "You know what I learned from all this?" Marcus said as they walked. "What?" Kira asked. "That leadership isn't about following rules. It's about protecting your people. Sometimes that means breaking regulations. Sometimes it means going deep cover and becoming someone you're not. Sometimes it just means refusing to leave anyone behind, no matter how hard the math gets. And sometimes," Hayes added, "it means trusting your team to bring you home when you can't do it yourself." Kira smiled. For the first time in 3 months, she felt like herself. Whole, complete, ready for whatever came next. The mission never ended. There would always be threats, always be enemies, always be impossible choices. But she wouldn't face them alone. She had her team, her rangers, her family, and together they'd face anything. The awards ceremony at the Pentagon was small and private. Only a handful of people knew what had really happened in Afghanistan, what Task Force Shadow had accomplished, how Lieutenant Kira Brennan and her team had destroyed a network that threatened thousands of soldiers. General Morrison pinned the Distinguished Service Cross on Kira's uniform. "For exceptional valor in combat operations against enemy forces," he said formally, then quieter, for her ears only, "and for 3 months of the bravest thing I've ever seen, living a lie to protect the truth." Marcus received the Silver Star, Hayes the Bronze Star with valor. Colonel Hale watched from the side, proud but distant. He'd been right 3 months ago. There was more work to do, more threats to face, more shadow operations. After the ceremony, Kira found a quiet moment on the Pentagon's observation deck, looking out over Arlington Cemetery, thinking about all the soldiers who'd served and sacrificed, including Shaw's brother, including Cross and the others who'd turned, including everyone who'd paid the price of America's wars. "Penny for your thoughts," Marcus said, joining her. "Just thinking about Shaw, about his brother, about how close any of us are to making the wrong choice. We all make choices. Shaw chose revenge, Cross chose money, Sokolov chose power." Marcus looked out at the cemetery. "You chose duty, honor, protecting your people. That's what makes the difference. Sometimes I wonder if we're really that different. We all break rules. We all operate in shadows. We all do things that regulations say we shouldn't. True, but we break rules to protect. They broke them to betray. Intent matters. Outcome matters. We bring people home. They get people killed." He smiled. "Stop overthinking it, Lieutenant. You're one of the good guys, even when you're pretending not to be." Hayes appeared with 3 cups of coffee. "Thought you could use this. Also, Hale wants to see us. Says he's got another mission." "Already?" Kira asked. "Shadow work never stops. New threat just popped up. Needs a team that understands gray zones." Hayes grinned. "Sounds like us." Kira took the coffee, felt its warmth, let it ground her. Another mission, another threat, another chance to protect soldiers who'd never know what was being done in their name. Some would call it dirty work, morally ambiguous, operating outside regulations and proper channels. But Kira had learned the truth during her 3 months undercover. Sometimes the dirtiest work was the most necessary. Sometimes breaking rules protected those who followed them. Sometimes fighting in shadows kept the light safe. "All right," she said, "let's hear what Hale's got." They walked back into the Pentagon together. 3 Rangers, 1 team, ready for whatever came next. Because that's what they did. That's what they'd always do. They brought everyone home, no matter the cost, no matter the shadows, no matter the impossible choices. Rangers lead the way, even when the way runs through darkness, especially then.